Welcome to Seat Time, everybody, the off-road show that brings you all the results, news, and online shenanigans that make being online a good time. We'd like to say thank you to Fly Racing for their support of Seat Time. Please go check them out at flyracing.com. Welcome to Seat Time, everybody. Brian Pierce here, your host for this fine Tuesday evening in Texas, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So wherever you are, that's your time. Do the math. I'm not going to try to figure that out for you because that would be very difficult. Thank you very much for tuning in. Those of you who do not know, Seat Time, the online show for the off-road enthusiasts. If you enjoy dirt bikes, if you enjoy racing, riding, or just bench racing about it, maybe sitting back around a campfire with a couple brews and your buddies, this is definitely going to be the show for you. We appreciate you tuning in. Seat Time is brought to you by the fine folks at Fly Racing, Stillwell Performance, and of course, the guys over at Fast Company who make the fantastic flex bars. So if any part of your bike or outfit or accoutrements need to be taken care of, those are definitely some of the ones that you should check out. We will talk a little bit more about them during the show. So Seat Time. The website is seattime.co. That is where everything is archived, all of the shows, random news bits, all that kinds of stuff. Go there if you're looking for archives of the show, specifically video. If for some reason you would like to friend us on Facebook, you can do that too. It's facebook.com/seattime. We are on Twitter, twitter.com/seattime_co. And we're on Instagram, which is just regular old Seat Time, no space. Not like we like to confuse you guys and change it up too much. Of course, for those of you who do, last time we did Rallying the Baja Rally last week with Scott Bright and a couple different guys on. Awesome time doing that. I wanted to say, if anybody happens to know Uncle Rick or Richard Dean up from Canada, or Mason, who is one of the mechanics, if you're listening right now or you catch this after the fact, if you know who I'm talking about in those two names at the Baja Rally, tell them I'm still looking for the video footage. They'll know what I'm talking about, and they need to reach out and get that shit to me. Thanks. Appreciate your help. Of course, Steven, I like the way you giggle behind your beard like that. That's really nice. So let's just get right to it. Let's get in there. I'm drinking some pomegranate apple cider from Leprechaun Ciders. So in case you guys are into that kind of stuff, definitely one you should check out. I'm digging the pomegranate flavor. A little bit of fun. Obviously, Baja Rally's over. I'm going to consume a couple adult beverages while I can here on the show and see if we have a good time. I have been told that our voice and mouth movement are off. If you want to play with the delays a little bit, Mr. Steven. We'll see how we can fix that. Oh, now people are already giving him shit. Yeah, he likes to stare at my mouth. What up? So, our first guest for the evening, Mr. Andrew Delong, 2014 National Enduro Champion. What's up, and how's your evening going, kind sir?
That's good. I'm just checking here.
Woo! Well, we got all kinds of garbage from that. That was unfortunate. Man, it is all over the place. So, apparently your signal is horrible right now. Is there any way you could drop the video out so we could just go straight to audio only? Maybe? Are you there, Mr. DeLong? What do you think? Are you there?
Still there?
Yeah! Well, I'm sorry that we don't get to stare at your pretty face, but maybe this will make it a little bit easier on everybody. So, how's your evening going?
It's going good. It's going real good.
Hey, you just showed up. That's awesome. It's going good. So you're 2014 National Enduro Champion. When we talked to you earlier in the year, we were kind of asking questions. What kind of pressure have you had from Husqvarna, which you said was not very much, which is awesome to hear. I doubt that there was any discussion of you winning the National Enduro title, all that kinds of stuff. So now that it's over, now that you've had time to really think about it, I mean, are you excited? Do you feel good? Like, how's that all going through your head?
To be honest with you, it hasn't even really sunk in yet. I haven't had to have that time to party and celebrate. The next weekend after the Enduro Championship, I had to race the GNCC. So, to be honest with you, it sort of sank in. It just felt like a race win, to be honest. And, but it hasn't really sunk in just yet. And I think like in the middle of the winter, I'll be like, yeah, it was actually a pretty good thing, so pretty awesome. And I don't know when that's going to come about, but I hope it comes soon.
Yeah, well, One of the things that I was wondering too is it's like how easy is it to concentrate on being the 2014 National Enduro Champion when you go off and get engaged and then have a birthday? So I mean, you've been pretty busy. So congratulations on getting engaged as well and turning another year older.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good choice for me. I mean, she's been with me for like 4.5 years now, so.
I would say it was a good choice for her that she decided to say, you know, that I think you got lucky, my friend. Let's not blow too much air up your skirt.
Oh, yeah. Well, I really don't know how to explain it. People ask me like, "Except congratulations." I'm just like, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, but I don't know. I love her so, and she makes me happy. So that's good.
There you go. No, and that's great, and that's what it's about. That's definitely a big deal. So I thought it was kind of funny because the last time we chatted with you was right after you got your first XC1 podium. You got third place at Snowshoe on your Husky. One of the things that Kailub Russell asked is like, what did you buy? Did you buy a stand-up jet ski with your podium and your bonuses? You're like, yes, I did. It was awesome. So this time you get a National Enduro title and a championship, and you go off and get engaged. I mean, did you just don't like hanging on to your extra money?
Well, I try to save money as much as possible, but you know, the jet ski that's a training device. You know, you need that. That's a big thing, and
you can write that off, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. The ring was just sort of, I guess you could say, championship present to her, I guess.
There you go. Thanks for putting up with me for so long.
Thanks for dealing with all my shit. Here you go.
Absolutely, as it should be. That's definitely a good way to look at it. Well, so I was kind of, now that the year's over, you said, you know, you're kind of still thinking back on it. It hasn't totally sunk in yet, but I just want to talk about it where you had 7 podiums this year. 2 of those were first places, and your worst placement was a 7th. That's pretty darn awesome. I mean, it's super, super consistent, and that's the way you want to win. If you're not going to go out and win everything, at least being the most consistent person, I think, is a great way to go out and win a championship, the way that you did it. Looking back on the year, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would have definitely, you know, if I would have had my bike a little bit sooner in time, I think I would have been able to turn that 7th into a top 5. Or just have a more consistent year. It seems like this year in the Enduros, I was able to string it together enough to get me some points and be able to keep gaining points every round. And I didn't ever, you know, I didn't have any DNFs, knock on wood, and I had a really good time riding the bike, and I just tried to stay upright and stay consistent because once Charlie got hurt, it was pretty much for anybody else, you know, to grab. The top 7 guys were so close in points, so it was like I had to tell myself I can do it. I just gotta be consistent, and when I can win, I can win, and when I can't, I can't. I just gotta salvage the best that I can.
Yeah, well, I know that you being consistent and not slow is much better than me being consistent and not slow. So I'm glad that you were able to pull it off and come away with such a fantastic win, a championship. Best National Enduro of the year of all the races for you. It's really scary because it's stuck right now with this sly grin that he's got, and it's like really creepy.
I had a really, really good time in Michigan. That was like, are you guys having any problem?
Yeah, but we're making it work. It's really funny because it's like stopping in these interesting situations for us, and I'm like, what's he doing? And then I'm like, oh, it's stuck because like we keep getting these really fun faces, and it's like.
All right. Do you want me to turn my video off?
Steven, it's up to you. Yeah, try it for a little bit, and we'll turn your video off just for a little bit and see if we can get clearer audio. And if it doesn't make it any better, then we won't worry about it.
Okay.
All right, let's see what happens. So we were talking about your bet, the National Enduro that you enjoyed the most, and I believe you said Michigan. Tell us about that and why. Nope. It didn't get any better. It sure didn't. While Steven plays around with that. Okay. Oh, no. What's up? Yeah, buddy. Gary Ellis, I wish we knew. I want to talk about fly racing. So while I was at the Baja Rally, one of the things that I got to try was the 2015 Patrol Jacket. Now, I don't know if you've noticed a lot of guys running these jackets while they're racing in the desert, but one of the interesting things about this is it's to kind of help keep the moisture in. So when you're riding in those plus 100-degree days, that hot wind will just literally take the sweat right off of your body, which is a great idea if you're trying to stay cool for hours at a time. Then that doesn't allow you to stay cool. And so you kind of create this swamp cooler effect with the jacket on. And in this case, I was wearing it as a vest. Excuse me, I took the sleeves off. I had a lot of the vents open in the front and in the back, and it actually worked really, really well. I was surprised how well it worked. I tried it. I rode it like that all 4 days. Yeah, you there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Nice. We'll see what happens, man. This is seat time, buddy. Every time we're like, dude, we are so prepared. It's like, hey, we're going to figure something out to screw this shit up. You know what I'm saying? Nope.
Yeah, it's all good.
Good. Well, I'm glad you could put up with our malignant tumors. They just keep on biting. Well, so tell me a little bit more about Michigan, which you said was one of your favorite national enduros from this year.
Just one of the great motorcycle. Best feeling that day, so that's probably the most fun enduro so far.
Yeah. I like it. What about worst race of the year?
Worst race of the year. I don't know. For the GNCCs or just enduros?
Let's say national enduros right now.
Okay. Probably one of the first two, because I struggled a lot with just my bike setup, and I didn't feel really comfortable. I was just riding around in La La Land, it felt like.
Right. Yeah, I remember us talking about that when we chatted with you earlier in the year, where you were kind of like really trying to figure out the bike setup. It was so new to you. The team was so new, didn't really know how to work with a lot of that. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense there with those earlier ones. You did really well at Concho 2 years ago, and you had a good time this past year. What did you think of that event, and would you be, I guess, upset if it wasn't on the schedule for next year?
I mean, I would be a little bit upset because it's actually one of my favorite ones besides Michigan. It ranked up there. I just enjoy riding there. My bike always seems to work really good, and I enjoy going fast. And that place you can go pretty fast. So the trails flow really good, and that's the kind of trails that I enjoy, is when they're really fast and flowy. And Concho and
Well, biggest change on the bike that really, man, this is starting to like totally kick me in the butt. Can we call his phone through Skype? Do you know what I mean? Can we physically call his, call a number? Kill that. Yeah, no, like literally, like call a physical number with Skype. If we can do that, call his phone. Oh, we might be calling his brother's phone. Live here on Seat Time, just trying to figure stuff out, buddy. That's the way it works.
Your call has been forwarded to an...
Can you get to an actual number pad?
Add contact number. It's not allowed.
Yeah, we're going to figure this out and see what happens. So I was talking about the patrol jacket. Wicked awesome jacket. I really wanted to try the Fly Racing JCR jacket, but they actually haven't gotten those in yet in stock, and so they were able to send me one of the new 2015 JCR jackets, one of the new 2015 Fly Racing Patrol jackets. I really dug that jacket. Fly Racing made a ton of changes from the 2014 model to the 2015 model, and it is way better. I really enjoyed the 2015 jacket here in Texas. It got a little cold. You had some vents, things like that, but they made so many more vents, and it's so much more accessible. Things are a lot easier to adjust. I also used one of the new, though they're not one of our sponsors, I'll definitely talk about Baja Rally in the sense that they had a new, the new U-Sway stuff that they came out with, where they partnered with Hydropack. Awesome stuff. It worked really good. So super stoked on that. And let's see if we can get that in there. Maybe join the chat room or jump in on the telephone, see what's going to happen. I hear ringing. He's probably really confused. Did you text him and tell him what we were doing? Just shooting from the hip here, man. Anybody answer? Maybe? No? Let's be like, hello, voicemail. One of the things we didn't talk about last week, Paul Wibley winning the OMA, which is a great thing. Go to Gmail, and you could do the Google phone and call his number that way, and we can patch it in. Just figuring stuff out here. Technology. So that's really cool. I'm glad to see that happen. It's really been we've had. Just answer it, see what happens. Hey, you there?
Yeah.
Have you been getting a bunch of weird calls like on your phone? Just keep going. Keep setting it up. Have you been getting a bunch of weird calls on your phone? Nope. But that's because it doesn't have any signal or any service. So with the National Enduros wrapping up, we've only got GNCC left. OMA's finished up with Paul Wibley getting that championship. It's been pretty interesting, being able to watch a lot of the stuff that's been going on. We had Red Bull Straight Rhythm this past weekend, which was really cool. I enjoyed it. I definitely agree that it was too long. I saw that kind of going around in some of the chat rooms, talking about the Pulp and Mech show and everything. It was too long. 4 hours for that event where it was kind of like a handful of head-to-head races. Seems like it was a tad bit dragged out. I don't know if I totally agree with Chris Kiefer, where he was saying the first event, when you're just having the first eight brackets, to be just one and done. I like the idea of the 2 out of 3 for everybody, but yeah, there's got to be a way to like kind of get it to go just a tad bit faster. I don't really know the right way to do that. So, but that's why I'm not the one doing all the stuff. What you got going on there, buddy?
Oh, I was gonna just jump to the other Wi-Fi network, see if it's us.
Oh yeah.
I don't have any of this Google crap installed on this machine.
On that piece of shit machine. Whatever. It's worth it because what I'll do is we'll talk about that after the fact. We don't have to tell you, but we don't need to air our dirty laundry all over the place. So I enjoyed watching the straight rhythm, though. I did choose that over the LSU Auburn game, which was this past weekend. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's kind of the way that I went with it. So yeah, that's what happened. And then, let's see, we got Monster Energy Cup coming up. That's going to be cool to watch. Not this weekend, but next weekend. I'm looking forward to that. It sucks that Ken Roxon's not going to be racing. I really wanted to see how he would do, but I guess I understand because he probably wants a lot more time on that Suzuki, having had so much work on the KTMs. He probably really wants to to dial in that Suzuki a lot better. So is somebody there now, Mr. DeLong?
I'm here.
I don't know if it's us. I don't know if it's you. I don't know what it is, and I'm sorry, but thank you for sticking it out with us, and everybody else would really appreciate it. So, biggest change to the bike that you made all year that you think elevated you to being a champion on the Husqvarna?
2 clicks on my suspension.
2 clicks. What are you, Nick Way now?
Yeah, just 2 clicks. Turned it around.
Nice. It's the best. That's. I wish it would work for me like that. No.
Now there is a lot of stuff that got turned around, like different throttle cams, stuff like that. But just trying different things, but mostly the suspension. Once I got comfortable with that, I was good to go.
Cool. When you say throttle cam, you're actually referring to the cam at the handlebars, correct? So what the actual, where the throttle cable's attached to?
Yep.
Which one of those did you choose for the FC 350?
I actually chose 50, which is like really aggressive, and I seem to really enjoy that more than any other one.
Very interesting. With all the changes that you guys made for your Husqvarna, were a lot of those changes series specific? Like, were those changes for a lot of the National Enduro stuff, or would those changes work, on all of your bikes, like GNCC and National Enduro?
I ran the same setup everywhere.
Okay.
I don't really change much. Once I'm comfortable with something, I don't like to change it. I like to just ride it, and because I know what it's going to do, and that way I don't have to. I have to change stuff. Like in the Enduros, I'd start with the setting that I wanted, which is the same setting I ride all the time, and then I make adjustments throughout the day. But if it was good, I'd just let it alone and ride it.
There you go. Run what you brung, huh? As they would say.
That's right.
Man, yeah, so the stock on the KTM they're saying is about 37-ish on the throttle cam there in the chat room. So, they were mentioning that that's a pretty big difference going from that 50 to the 37. 2015, have you had a chance to ride the Huskies yet? Any big changes? I don't really think there have been, but anything that's going to change for you on bike setup that you guys are going to want to test on?
I'm not for sure yet. I mean, they haven't really let me know. I mean, I haven't gotten a new bike yet, or there hasn't been any talks about it, so probably they're pretty much the same. Just maybe we'll be running an FC 350, which is the moto right from the stock, and not running the SE,
Right.
That's the only change.
And are you running that 350 in the GNCCs as well, or are you on a 450?
I run the 350 in both.
Okay, interesting. Now obviously we saw Kailub Russell do extremely well on his 350 this year. When you made the decision, you seem to be a bigger guy. Were you kind of worried about the 350 and in a quote unquote lack of power or any of that sense, or did you just knew that if you ride it all year you'll know how to ride it and how to have it make power?
I mean, if I rode it all year, I'd know how to ride it, and I like to sort of manhandle my bikes. Like, I'm a bigger guy, so I like to throw them around and sort of run through things, and not really, that's just how I ride, and I don't have really a technique or I want to say like a what's the word? Like finesse,
right?
So I don't have really a lot of finesse. I just manhandle my way through a lot of things, and with a smaller bike I seem to be able to do a lot better because I can push it. And the 450 when I started,
dig it, man. So as we start to wrap it up a little bit here, just as we're taking up some of your precious time, and of course, as the internet does to anybody when it starts to screw up, it starts to age you quickly. Have you seen or heard anything about the 2016 Huskies? What could be a 2016 Husky?
Not yet. I don't. I really don't. I really don't know. I don't know if they'll show me. I'm only signed for next year too, so maybe maybe they'll be kicking me off. I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully I get to continue my career with Husky and get to ride them for my whole career. That'd be an awesome thing. But we never know what the world throws at you.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. So what do you think about having Zach Osborne as kind of a teammate? He's on the Rockstar Husky team. You're on Husky, but I mean, they're factory supported. You're obviously on the factory off-road team. You guys will be on the same bikes there at ISDE.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be awesome, man. He's a really good guy, and he's multi-talented. He can ride moto, supercross, and do woods racing. And so, I'm stoked to I guess you could say be on the same team as him. I mean, I don't think we're really, he does opposite stuff than what I do, but for sure. I mean, it's awesome to have him on the brand, and we're just gonna make the Husky name stronger every year.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing I wanted to talk about was that I was on with the FE 350 at Concho this year, and I was having a lot of issues with the front fork. And I think we talked about it on the last show that we had with you. But just in case, what kind of did you have any issues with your suspension on your bike when you originally got on it when it was maybe close to stock, that you guys really had to fine tune or do a lot of work with on the suspension?
I mean, I think on those bikes they came with 4CSs, and right from the start I never even rode with the 4CSs. We went straight to the factory forks. So
okay.
I did have I did ride one with some 4CSs, and they were a little soft for me when I was out there at the demo. But I mean, other than that, I didn't really put any time on the 4CSs, so I can't really answer that question too much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely was like, holy shit, these things are soft as crap and they dive, which is absolutely insane because anything KTM and 4CS, all you hear from people is how stiff and how stiff they are, and how brutal, which was just the opposite on the Huskies. So whoever was doing the valving either screwed up all the Huskies, or for whatever reason, whoever was setting up the ones for the Huskies decided on something completely different for the boutique brand, if you will. So everything prepped for ISDE, you got shit shipped, you're ready to go?
Yeah, I just received some goggles here tonight, and got all my gear last week, and just sort of got to start packing up, I guess. I'm delaying it, I guess you could say, because I'm working on my house right now. I just bought a house and stuff, so I'm working on that, trying to get it all situated so I can start moving in there. And but other than that, I'm pretty much good to go. Got some boots. Didn't get my helmet yet, but I'm pretty sure that's coming. And
those jerks.
Yeah, but no, everything else is here. Just waiting little things, and we'll be good to go.
They're just waiting for early November.
Yep. Yeah.
Man. Shoot. I thought of one of those. Okay, so you were on the XC1 podium. You got a stand-up jet ski, National Enduro Championship, got engaged, had a birthday, bought a house. You're going to go to the ISDE. I have two points of concession. Is one, you totally could have proposed on seat time. We still haven't had anybody propose on seat time, which one day I'm hoping. And two, there's not like any little Andrews on the way, are there?
No. There won't be any for hopefully a little while. I mean,
I'm okay with it either way. I guess I'm just gonna say that I have learned quickly, and as everybody tells you, is that little children do get in the way of riding your motorcycle. So
yeah, well, I got a while until I get married too. So she's actually got to finish school and everything, and that'll be like another 2 years. So
nice.
Grad school and everything. And,
I'm just going to throw this out here. You guys know I'm a good public speaker. I handle crowds pretty well, and I'm also ordained. So if you're looking for, somebody that's down to, I dress up well. People think I don't, but I will. If that's part of the job, I'll do it for you guys. I'm just saying, low fees.
Maybe I have to keep you in mind. Maybe if I just fly up here and give you beer, you can just do it for free.
You just fly me up there. I'll buy my own damn beer. I'm just telling you. You'll have a lot more fun with me in charge. I'm just saying. And if any of the moms or any of the girlfriends or I guess at this point fiancés seem to have any issues with it, I also do consultations beforehand. Like I'm not just a run-in kind of guy. I don't just need to come in there and make it happen and take off. Like I can massage them up to the possibility of this coming to fruition. So know that I'm open to that.
I don't know. I'd have to talk to.
We could even live stream your wedding.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
Hey, we know people that sit behind the same computers that we sit behind now. So just things them all around your mind. I would love the chance to marry off some fine people, and then of course we could live stream it as well. So just think about it.
All right, I'll run it by. I'll run it by her and see what she says.
I dig it. And if she slaps you, I apologize. Now.
She won't slap.
Dig it. Well, Andrew Delong, thank you very much for coming on. I apologize for all the issues. Whatever it is, it got a little bit better, and we are very, very thankful for that. You're such a great, not just a great person for our sport, but is also just a good fan of having a good time, and that's why we love having you on. So thank you very much, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I get to come back on again soon. And I really enjoy coming on the show and having a good time.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you very much, and have fun. I guess you got one more GNCC than the ISDE, and then it's prepping for a whole nother year, right?
Yep.
Oh, snap. Yep. Dig it, man. Well, hell yeah. Have fun out there. We'll chat soon.
All right. Thanks, Brian. We'll see you.
Later. Whoop, whoop. All right. So, yeah, I'm telling you, man, one day somebody's going to have to propose on the show. Pat Smodgy said that he almost – no, it's not Pat Smodgy. It's his brother. Shoot. Said that he almost did it with Sarah, but he didn't have his guitar song ready yet. So that would have been sweet if that would have happened. But I think if somebody did do it, though, they would definitely have to be with somebody that kind of knows that they're jokingly proposing, or like they've already proposed and haven't really told anybody, so they're going to come on Seat Time and do do it on Seat Time, but then have a whole nother real official proposal prepared, because I understand that Seat Time wouldn't be the most romantic way, which is fine. It's not a romantic show, but I guess we'll see how it goes. Hello.
What's going on?
What's up, Mr. Kailub Russell? I hate the fact that you shaved your head and you didn't even videotape it or put it out there for anybody or take pictures of a mullet or nothing.
Yeah, it was more of, a spur of the moment deal.
Yeah?
Got done eating dinner. It was like 10:30, and my wife's brother's wife is a hairdresser. I was like, let's cut this shit. Let's get it going.
Let's make it happen.
Yep. So that was that.
I was very disappointed because we did have a big conversation about that mullet coming back, and it would have been wicked. It would have been wicked. All right, so I know that you just got done taking some family pictures. Probably not in the best moods to sit around and just chat for a little bit. So let's just see if we can get in here, hit some of the good stuff. We'll let you go to sleep. And dream about all the epic pictures that'll be hanging on your walls in the near future. So you're now two-time XC1 GNCC champion. I mean, not even XC1, GNCC overall champion 2 years in a row. You're what, the third person to be able to do that?
I think there's more than three. Go back to back?
Yeah, back to back.
There's more than three people that have done that.
Well, it was what, Juha Solomon, David Knight, and then you. So it would have had to have been before that, right? There might have been a couple for sure, but it's been a while before that.
I mean, Rodney Smith won 3 in a row.
Yeah, that's true.
Scott Summers won a bunch. Eddie Lojax won a bunch. Scott Plessinger. I think that's about it. But
So
You made it sound way more impressive. I like your theory.
Yeah, I mean, we'll maybe go with in the 2000s. You're one of 3 people to win back to back. How about that? That
One of
does
4 in the 2000s.
okay, man.
Rodney Smith did it in the 2000s.
Well, we also know that I have no memory. 1 and 2, I suck at math, so it's not really any surprise that I'm going to screw something else up again. But the thing is you're here with all kinds of knowledge. You're much more intelligent than I am, and you haven't been drinking, so you can bring in the heat. I don't know what to tell you, Steven. I just want to throw something. I really, really do. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. What happened?
I don't know. Apparently computers hate us right now. So I just wanted to say that I doubted you at the beginning of the year. I never doubted your ability to race and ride. I just did not realize at that time the fire that you had, that I then saw about 3 to 4 races in. That's when I was like, I was wrong. He's going to do it. Like, you could just see it. That unless catastrophe happened, that you had the fire inside to push and race your ass off to get the back-to-back championship. So congratulations. It's just fantastic that you did it. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest thing is like feeding off of people's doubt. Like, I love it. Like,
right.
I mean, it gets me fired up, and I don't know. You tell me I can do it and all this, and like I don't come in with the same intentions or same motivation. But if you tell me I can't do something, it just downright pisses me off, and like all I want to do is prove people wrong. But I don't know. Just when that helmet goes on, it's I turn a light switch and I just turn into a freaking madman, man. I don't know. I just I mean, some people have it and some people don't, but I just really want to get the job done, and in GNCC Racing, I know how to do it, and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it was great to watch it. It's really fun to be able to watch the Racer TV coverage. I enjoy that. Some of the times I can't watch, but I get to listen to it. Same kind of with Seat Time. Sometimes people don't get to watch, but they get to listen to the audio, and that's a lot of the times when I'm in the garage how it works out. But it's great to be able to catch that, as it's happening and see what's going on. Wrapping it up early and deciding to ride the 150. There's tons of stuff about the 150, how we can get raffle tickets and stuff for it, and I definitely want to talk about that, but I want to know, where did that kind of come about? Like, where did this, I'm going to ride a 150, let's raffle off tickets, and, part of that's for Rory Mead, and part of that's for your ISDE and stuff like that?
I've always thought it would be cool to be able to wrap up the championship and do something different for a long time. Like, obviously it couldn't happen last year. But it's just a really cool thing to be able to do, is wrap up the championship early and then, ride a different bike or try something different. And obviously I had the championship pretty much under control and got everything together for the bike and what I'd need. And, I figured at first I didn't think about the raffle idea or whatever, but then it hit me, hey, let's just buy this bike and see if KTM will let me buy the bike and give it away with everything on it, and help Rory out and raise some money. So it's been awesome. We've raised quite a bit of money, and I'm looking forward to seeing the face on the winner, or the look on the winner's face when they win it. So it should be good.
I bought 4 raffle tickets, and I wish I could have bought more. It's just kind of like, you're like, okay, I want this bike X bad, but I can't afford how much I really want this bike, so I'm just going to put tooth towards it and see what happens. But yeah, it would be pretty damn epic to win that thing. We saw the video from Motorsport and a couple other people that were posting around of you kind of practicing on the 150. Was that really one of the first times that you had been on it, just a couple days before going to Powerline Park?
Yeah, my first day on it was Wednesday. That was the first time I rode it. I rode it Wednesday and Thursday, and I put an hour and 10 minutes on it.
How much tweaking, or how much, Yeah, how much tweaking did it take to say, okay, I'm good with that? Like,
you know, what's really funny about the thing. I didn't do anything to the bike to change it from the way they gave it to me. I changed a few clickers here and there on the shock and the rebound on the forks. But basically, what we did was we took our suspension guy. He took Casey Martinez's forks and put a stiffer spring in them, and he took my shock and put a softer spring on it. And I was pretty happy with it right away. I was like, man, I thought it was going to be absolutely dog shit at first. And that was one of the biggest things I was kind of worried about, but it was actually pretty good. After riding it at the race, I know what we can do to make some improvements. But I just, like, in that hour and 10 minutes I rode, I changed a few things and I was happy with it. So
nice. That blows my mind. I remember Taylor Robert last year after the TKO took his 250 suspension and put it on his 450 because it liked it so much, thinking that might work. Obviously it didn't. It was horrible. But it's interesting to know that they could take like your shock with all the dampening, the oil, and the way it's set up, the valving, just put a softer spring on it, and vice versa with the Martinez's forks, and it would actually work so well on such a lighter feeling bike. I mean, obviously dry weight, it's lighter, but it's also so much lighter in the sense of its back and forth play. Like that's pretty impressive that those guys are that good.
Yeah, rookie, he was kind of skeptical at first too, like I was, but I mean, he didn't really have any time to build me a set for that bike and do any testing or anything. So he just wanted to stick to some settings that I was kind of used to and kind of knew what they'd do, and that's what we did. And actually, like I said, it worked pretty good. Like I was pretty happy with it. The shock was the biggest thing. I feel like it was just a little soft. We went a little too soft on the spring, and I ran quite a bit of sag at the race because of how slick the track was. So, I didn't have. It felt like it was a little slow and soft, but it was rideable for sure.
Oh, yeah, it was plenty rideable, man. Watching you ride that thing and then hearing everybody chatter about it was damn impressive. So congrats on the podium. I know that's not what you were looking for. Obviously, as you say, when you put that helmet on, you kind of become a different person. You want that win, and I know you wanted that win on the 150. I mean, we talked about that. It's interesting, and I've told you this too, like, it's interesting how the standards you hold yourself up to. Like, I think you on a 150 getting on the podium is damn impressive. But, you kind of hold your head low a little in the fact that you weren't able to win that. What, if anything, really could have been done different for you to feel like you would have been able to come away with the win against Josh Strang this past weekend?
Ride my 350.
Aha. Okay. Okay, yeah.
I mean, Josh rode really well. I rode an excellent race. I mean, I rode that bike to my full potential, and he rode better than me. Of course, I gave up a lot of power and probably a lot of stuff here and there, but I rode really good.
Yes, you did.
I mean, I was pretty pumped with the performance I put forth. It wasn't a lack of effort, and it wasn't like mistakes led to me getting second. Josh just outrode me that day, and I couldn't really make that thing go any faster, and I was losing a lot of time in places where I wouldn't normally. So, I'm kind of bummed I didn't win, but I don't look back and say, if I would have done this or this, I would have won. I did everything I could.
Yeah. So how does your pitch strategy change on that? We had a question coming from the chat room. Did your pitch strategy have to change any because of the fact, being on a 150, two-stroke, bigger, smaller gas tank? Kind of how did you guys strategize on that?
I like how everybody uses the word pitch strategy. I mean,
yeah, as if there is one. Yeah.
I mean, there's literally no pitch strategy. You got to stop and get gas. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Right.
We didn't know the fuel economy on it, so we stopped at the end of the second lap, and that was our plan, was to stop at the second lap, and they measure out all the fuel so they know how much they're putting in and know how much was in the tank, and all that, and I got the pit board that said didn't have to pit anymore, and I ended up having to stop on the last lap. But they didn't. I didn't even realize that until I was on pit row and they were holding the jug up, motioning me in. So there wasn't any pit strategy. I mean, they. I guess I was really close to running out of gas. As it was, like they said, I probably could have went like another minute before I ran out.
Whoa, got lucky.
Yeah, I did get lucky.
Well, then for Ironman, then now that you said that's interesting that the way that they measure the gas and try to figure all that out, I would imagine then they've got it a little bit more scientifically put down. So then you probably have much less of a chance of running out of gas opposed to flying by the seat of your pants, or you never know.
Actually, I think more or less they're now more confused than they were because, like I said, they after we gassed the first time, I got really good gas mileage the first 2 laps. And that's why they told me, they gave me the pit board, said I didn't have to fuel again, but they were eyeing the tank as I'd come through the finish line area. They were eyeballing the tank to see how much I had in there, and I didn't have any gas in there. So I used a lot more gas at the end of the race. So probably just because I was riding harder, but I mean, it really sucked it down a lot more than they had thought. So
interesting.
Now they're kind of just more or less like back to square one,
Every 2 laps, we're putting gas in.
Yeah.
So you got Ironman coming up. You've ridden the 150 a little bit more. You've gotten some time on it. How do you feel about that? I mean, I guess let me rephrase this. Was there a time where you just had fun riding that 150 out there? I mean, that's what I think of when I think about riding 125s again. It's just kind of that. It's just so much more fun. I mean, was it fun, or did you feel like you were like, I want my 350, I'm working too hard?
No, when on the first lap, I was like trying to get away from those guys, and it's really tough because if you get a good start and you can gap them a little bit right away, it's not so stressful and you can enjoy it. But when you got all those guys around you on the 450s and you get in the fields, it's really like beating yourself with a stick. You're like, damn it. Right, yeah. Blitzing right by you. But no, once I kind of gapped them a little bit, I was like, man, I might really be able to pull this off. And I was riding really good, and I was having fun. Like it was a ball. And I seen Josh catching me, and I put down a really solid lap on the second to last lap, and I was like, if he catches me, I'm not going to be able to win. And the second to last lap, I should say, I rode really hard, and I dropped my time by probably like 30 seconds or so, and Josh still caught up to me by like 10 or 15 seconds, and I knew right then I wasn't going to win. And I did everything I could to try to keep him behind me, and then I realized I had to gas again. So, but like I said, it was a pretty fun day. I enjoyed it. The last lap wasn't too much fun. I put out a lot of effort to go that fast, a lot more than on the 350. I know for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I can imagine. So going into Ironman, I mean, you're looking forward to that, still being able to go out there and think about it in the sense of like what you're doing, like being able to ride this 150, have fun with it, try to sell some more raffle tickets, and really be able to create more of a fund for Rory and then as well for yourself and the ISTE.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ironman will be really good on that thing. It's gonna have a little bit more determining factors of how I do. I'm gonna have to really be on it like I was at Powerline on the bike. But I think the track will. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be wet up there this year because my dad was telling me they just got like 5.5 inches of rain the Friday when I got to the track at St. Clairsville. So. That's probably not going to dry out this time of year up there unless it's just really windy and cold. But
right.
So it's probably going to be super wet and ruddy, and I killed it everywhere where it was kind of ruddy on that bike. So I'm actually pretty anxious. And the only like determining factors, there's a bunch of big hill climbs like right out of creek beds and stuff. That's I might give up some stuff there. Like I might have to go around a few hill climbs or something. But if I can. I'm just going to pin it and go like hell.
That's the Kailub Russell that we know and love.
Yep.
So, ISTE this year, are you going to be on the 350?
Yep.
Okay. And is that for the E2 or E3 class? That's the E2, correct?
Yeah, E2.
E2. What are you thinking about the terrain and kind of, some of the practice sessions that the guys have had and stuff like that?
It's gonna suck, the terrain wise, but I'm looking forward to the race. I really, really enjoyed it last year, and I'm looking to do a lot better than I did. Obviously, the 2-minute penalty I got last year didn't help me position wise on the track.
Right.
I felt like I rode good in some days, and then the days where I wasn't feeling it and just couldn't get it together, like I was, lost the motivation. So I'm going to try to just keep it a lot more solid and try to keep things a little bit simpler this year. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, I want to do good. So, if I can get my act together and get focused, I think I should be fine.
Yeah, it's been great talking with Taylor Robert on the show and behind the scenes about this. I was like, how motivated are you? He's like, oh, I'm winning. And I was like, oh, well, I was like, are you E2 or E3? He goes, E3. I was like, oh man, so you just know you're getting the overall E3? He goes, oh no, dude, I'm overall in the whole thing. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, to me, that takes, but it's like talking to you sometimes. You know the ability that you can ride at, and if you know that you can go out there and give the 110% that you can give, that it's just as possible for you to win that overall. And it's really cool to see that confidence, not just in his swagger, if you will, but he shows it, he admits it, and it would be really cool to see you guys, coming away, putting forth, that 110% effort. I think this could be definitely the year for you guys to win it. It seems like it really, really could be. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's my goal too, is to overall the damn thing. So, hopefully, we got me, Charlie, and him going for the overall. Because if we got that happening, there's no reason we shouldn't be in the run for the win, the team win. So that'd be awesome. And it's going to be tough. And Taylor's really good in that terrain. It's just like his house, and well, not exactly like it, but kind of the same situation and stuff. So, and he's got the experience, and he's really fast and super smooth, and he rides that 500 really well. So he's really got the technique and everything down to really succeed in that event. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's in contention for the overall. I hope he is, like I said, because it's going to help out the team tremendously. But I don't feel like I'm at that level yet, and hopefully by next year, when hopefully Slovakia
right
has some more like East Coast terrain and like ruts up and not just dry desert bullshit. So
I like the fact that you're honest.
Yeah.
So Slovakia next year. Have you heard much about that? I mean, is that kind of what you're expecting? Is a little bit more of what we're used to here, or what you guys are used to on the East Coast?
That's what I hear. And like Antti Kallinen, our team manager, he's from Finland, and he's familiar with the world GPs. He wrenched for U-Haul over there some, and he kind of knows what the venues are like, some of them. So he said it's more like the East Coast. So I'm looking forward to this year, but probably more so next year. That way I got 2 years under my belt, and really be able to kind of get things dialed in, because all the Euro guys, that's all they do all year long, and that's like them trying to come over here and beat me in a GNCC. I mean, just ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. Yep. No, totally agree.
So.
Well, just to touch on it a little bit, you and I talked about it a little over text and such, but it's so you did some races that were on the East Coast this year that we haven't seen you at before, a little bit more of what they're calling hard enduro in the States, or some of the extreme enduro type stuff. So the TKO, the Endurocross, and the National Enduro. First time kind of for you getting into that realm. What were your kind of overall thoughts on the experience and kind of being able to get into those, get a chance at competing at those events?
I did the TKO first, and I really enjoyed it, and I should have been top 5, because I got third in the first race out there, and then I had some mechanical problems and I couldn't finish the last race, and that was a bummer, and especially because it was my first one and I was doing so well.
Right.
But then the second one I did was the TKO or whatever, and
Yeah,
I rode really good in
Endurocross,
that.
yeah.
And I rode really good the first race in that I rode really well, and then the second race it started raining, and it just kind of led. I got up to when it started raining, I got up like third or fourth overall by one point when it started raining really bad. And I had to ghost ride my bike up a hill, and it got wedged in between a tree. And it took 4 people to get the damn thing like unstuck. And after that, I was just kind of over it because I was so far back battling with those guys, and it was so hard to get through it with everybody, through some of the stuff that shouldn't have been so hard to ride through. And by the final, I was just kind of over it and ready to leave. And I rode like complete dog shit in the final at the TKO. The only race that mattered, I rode awful in. But
Right.
then the Endurocross, I was just not ready for that track, and it's it kind of sucks because like riding at the house and stuff with Taylor, like I was pretty close to, I shouldn't say pretty close to him, but I wasn't like completely far off his pace. But it was my track, and I've ridden it quite a bit. But I felt like I was just in over my head once I got there after practice. Like I couldn't get through the matrix, and like I get so pumped up and frustrated in the matrix, and before I knew it, like I was stuck in the matrix again. And it was just a piss poor performance there too. So, but it was a tough track, and those matrix logs were huge and so slick. And
Yeah, once that water started to come through, those matrix logs slicked up quick.
Yeah, they were god awful. I mean,
Yeah.
it was unreal, like how slick they were. Like, I don't know how Taddy, Cody, and Taylor and those guys, they're really good. But I mean, they even dicked it up in the main a bunch. But it was unreal hard. Like those guys were going through it like so consistently, and they're specialized in it, and like I'm specialized in the GNCCs, and
Yep.
the series are getting more and more specialized like that. It's really hard to just step into something and do good, and the fans and media they don't even understand that, and it's everything in off road is completely different, and it's kind of hard to recognize that because the guys that are motocross and supercross, they're so good and equally good at both, and that when off road has so many different variables in it, it's not even funny.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you right after that, and I understand why you declined. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure that we did talk about that you had a chance to really comment on the fact, because I try to tell people that all the time, that Endurocross has gotten so specialized, and these hard enduros and these extreme enduros, like people really do practice this stuff specifically, and when you start practicing and specializing in that, it really does start to create a gap over the people that are just great riders, maybe not great specific specialized at a certain event type of riders. So by no means did I ever think you had a poor performance, but it does kind of suck sometimes to know that there are other people out there, even within the industry, that might have slander to say or something towards what would be a poor performance on someone like a Kailub Russell who's never done that shit before.
I mean, and that I was more or less like, nobody said anything to me or along those lines. I was just really kind of frustrated with myself and just wanted to forget about it and move on. But I had to put that shit away as soon as I could. I had a championship to win in the GNCCs, and couldn't be dwelling on other stuff. But
so National Enduro though, let's put it behind us. National Enduro, did you have fun?
Fuck. I was really pissed off about that one.
Oh man, I keep bringing up all the bad stuff.
I completely forgot all about the National Enduro that I did.
No, I wouldn't let you. Like I said, we're not gonna dig in, but we at least got to touch on it.
Yeah. No, I really should have won that one. I'll be straight up. Like, Grant, not taking anything away from Grant. Grant rode really good that day, but I absolutely killed that last test. And Strang won the last test, and Strang only got beat by 7 seconds at the end of the day, something.
Yeah, it was super close. Yes.
Yeah, and I was only I was pretty close to Strang going into the last test, and I felt like I absolutely killed it. and if I wouldn't have won, it would have been really close. And I like seriously like a half mile from the finish line. This is the reason I never run bark busters either, in like a GNCC or anything. I had bark busters on that day, and we came from a faster section straight into some tight woods, and it got real narrow really quick. And I clipped a tree with my right hand or my right bark buster, and it just deflected me straight into the woods.
Yep.
I got tangled up in so much shit. It wasn't funny. Like I basically like ghost rode my bike into the thickest set of pine trees you could imagine. And it was just, I was frustrated and pissed off and cussing, trying to get my bike out of there. But I rode it straight up in the back of the truck and took off and went home. I hardly said anything to anybody. I was really disappointed.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a Brian Pierce moment.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what the hell is, man. There's always those times where I'm like feeling so. I mean, by no means do I winning. Let's rephrase that. Brian Pierce moment in the fact that something stupid, random happens where you find yourself either like upside down in a tree or stuck in a thing of thorns, and you're like, what? How does your bike even find its way into this situation? Or like in a creek? Like that's me. Like I don't know what I just have bad luck, but I have fun with it. I take it for what it is, and I like riding my dirt bike. But I understand where you're coming from too. Like that sucks. So
yeah, and when I got home and like realized like where I'd finished overall in comparison to where Strang was and stuff, and I looked at the times in the last test, like I still wasn't that far off, and like I know how much time I lost when I crashed and everything, so I was like I knew I'd thrown it away. Like it was just one of those things. Like it was just it was kind of a mental error because I don't ever run with bark busters, and I get so close to trees. Like if you look at my bikes at the end of the race, like the grips will be broke off like right at the edge from where I clip them and go by, and like my bars kind of just twitch in my hands, and it doesn't ever happen. But when you have bark busters on, you hit a tree like that, it just deflects you to the other side of the trail, and that's what people don't understand. Like I have people coming up to me all the time saying, why do you only run handguards or motocross handguards? And I'm like, I mean, that's all I need is just so stuff doesn't hit my front brake lever or grab my clutch lever. Like, I can't remember the last time like I center punched a tree with my hand or something silly like that. But those bark busters, just that extra little bit they hang out when you clip something like that. I'm so used to getting so close to the trees, like when you clip it like that going fast, like you don't know where you're going to end up.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's zero dampening there. It is literally like energy goes one way, hits the tree, so it goes 180 the other direction, and you don't know what's going to happen at that point. It's totally sporadic, especially when it comes to aluminum. That shit just like ping goes crazy. Well, cool, dude. Well, on a happy end note, or an end on a happy note, however you grammatically would choose to say it, what are you excited about? Besides the ISDE, anything else that's just like totally, that you're totally stoked on? And you could say doing nothing. That's a viable thing to be excited about.
Yeah, I'm not. My schedule's pretty wide open still. I mean, well, I've got the hoops race I'm doing this weekend.
Oh, yes.
Pretty excited about that. That should be good. Milner and Strang and Charlie are doing it, so it'll be a good little warm up before 6 days too. And I want to do good, but I'm not going to be too disappointed if I know Milner's going to be really good. I mean, he rides that same kind of format and stuff, and he's a fast dude anyway. So I'm just going to kind of try to use it as like a warm up and like just kind of prepare for 6 days in the sense of like getting the bike like dialed into how, because you got to ride the bike differently in the special tests and stuff like. I'm really good at like setting my bike up and knowing where it needs to be, so I need to focus more along the lines on that and then try to go fast from there.
Right.
So, but that's going to be cool. And then we got the Ironman. Then I leave straight out for 6 days and I get home from there until middle of November, and then we'll probably have the banquet. And then after that, we go straight into photo shoots and testing for next year. And then right after that, it's Christmas, and then right after that, you're back at the start of the year and you got to get to it again. So I don't have too much time off.
So what you're saying is you need a break and you need to come to Texas and hang out with my little munchkins.
Man, I don't know about that.
No, they're awesome. They're totally worth it, man.
Yeah. I'm trying to stay away from kids for the next couple of years.
Yeah, no, I was just we were just with Andrew just on and him getting engaged and stuff. I was kind of like, so any plans for any Andrews anytime soon? He was like, no, not that we know of. I was like, good. I mean, not good. It's like I would support anything, but just know that obviously adds a whole nother dynamic. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel the pressure bearing down on me, and I don't want it to happen.
So what you're saying is you're a bottom kind of guy. Hi-yo. There's all kinds of pressure. I like it. Obviously, you can tell that this is the first seat time in a while that I've had a few drinks. So, starting to loosen up a little.
I hear you. I think I got some hanging around here somewhere. I need to go crack one open.
Well, it's not my fault. If anybody calls you, don't tell them Seat Time sent you. Whatever happens. Well, dude, thank you very much. I know you had a lot going on today. You've done 2 radio shows in one night, so we definitely appreciate that. Just have fun out there, and good luck with everything else that's coming up. And please keep us up to date this weekend on how Hoops Race goes on the full gas sprint enduro. That'll be really cool to see how that format kind of grows and takes off.
Yeah, it should be cool. And I'm working on. I've got my laptop here, my desktop over here. I'm working on setting up my GoPro right now, like updating and everything. Gonna have that thing going. So
awesome.
I should have some sweet GoPro footage from the race.
Dig it, man. Well, thank you very much again for your time. Have fun, and don't let your wife win out too easy. You got to fight for it a little. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
sounds good, guys.
Later. Sweet. So now we're gonna check in with Mr. Sean Reddish and see how things are going with him at WORCS. So those of you guys who don't know, Stillwell Performance, fantastic off-road suspension guru. They're in Arizona. You can check them out at stillwellperformance.com. They do awesome suspension work. Guys like Cody Webb, Max Gersten, Luis Forsley. You can go to they cover all the dampening duties for off-road racers like Cody Webb, Corey Graffunder, Kyle Redmond, Luis Forsley. You can head to their website, call them at the shop, ask them how they can make your off-road experience that much better. And definitely, if you tell them that Seat Time sent you, there's a good chance you're going to be able to get yourself a little bit of a discount. When you're at their website, you'll also notice that there's some products there that you could choose from. Of those products, I definitely want to say you should check out the Stillwell Performance Adjustable Link Guard. They do make them for other brands now, but the KTM, I think, is the one where it makes the biggest difference, because now that they have gone to linkage on the XC and SX, if you ride those off-road, they will catch they can catch on some obstacles. So this linkage guard not only protects you from that, but they have the adjustable point where you can change out the pucks, or chips as they like to call them. And with that, it actually can adjust your head angle just ever so slightly. And if you have ridden the PDS version and gone to the linkage, you'll notice, why does this kind of feel like a chopper or a couch? It changes it a little bit. You can get those chips or those pucks. You can flip those around and change your head angle just a little, so you don't have to bring the forks up too much in the triple clamps. So check out the adjustable link guard there at stillwellperformance.com. And like I say, go to their website, ask them questions, and say, hey, Brian from Seat Time said you guys can help. How can you do that? Because they're going to be able to tell you how they can make your suspension that much better. I just know that they do great work, and I ride it on my bikes, and I think that you should too, so go check them out. So, Mr. Sean Reddish, I would like to say that you are the most prepared person for this show tonight. You look fantastic.
Well, I'm glad to be here. It's always interesting to do anything on the web. You can tell that there's always technical difficulties here and there. But, it's perseverance. It's embracing the suck every once in a while. That's what makes it all good.
Absolutely, man. We just like to have fun with it. Embracing the suck. I haven't heard that in a while, actually. So that's that may be the show title right there. Embracing. I'm going to write it down as we go into that. So, for those of you who don't know, there is WORCS Racing is on the West Coast. Mr. Sean Reddish is the promoter, organizer, owner of WORCS Racing. Earlier this year, there were a couple press releases that came out how WORCS Racing, and I'll let him describe that partnership and exactly what that is, but it was with the MAXC Racing, which is an East Coast, kind of the mid-America cross-country series, and so WORCS is going to be coming to the East Coast with the MAXC's help, and that's going to be interesting. It's going to be cool because of the fact that it gives us the WORCS Racing format on the East Coast, so people on the East Coast have a little bit more variety. They have more choices, other places to race, and it's going to change up a little bit for the MAXC riders. and racers, but I think that that's not a bad thing. Change is not a bad thing. So we're here to talk about that and kind of see how that is going to evolve. So the first thing, Mr. Sean, is definitely, you're from Texas. So how did you wind up in California, or what is it, Utah, or, not in Texas? How do you leave Texas?
Well, Texas is probably the finest state in the entire nation, not to offend anybody else from the South. But anyway, for me, WORCS Racing was really a West Coast program. When WORCS first began, we went all the way to Florida. That was when gas was $1 a gallon. But, you could fill up your diesel truck for $26. So as it really focused on its West Coast core, the whole industry is really on the West Coast, so it just made sense in the original formulation of the series. We had a different style of series. The West Coast is mainly owned by the government. If you think of all the land in the West Coast, if you look at a map, over 60% of it is all owned by the federal government. So that's what's protecting our debt. So in any case, so instead of driving or staying on the road all the time, my wife and I said, you know what, we need to find a home base. We need to, what's going to make it work, and being in a good location that didn't have graffiti everywhere, good family values. That's why we picked Southern Utah.
Okay. And so how close are you to the Fast Company guys? Because they're in Washington, Utah. Isn't that correct?
Well, they heard I moved here, and they said, hey, we got to go there because it must be a good place.
Oh, yeah. That's Sean Reddish guy. I'm buying a house next to his for sure.
Actually, and Mike Farmer, the MAXC guy, the man who set up all the MAXC tire programs for all the support stuff, lives out here. And actually, that's how we found it. We came out here in traveling. They're about 15 minutes off the highway, and we said, hey, we're going to come stay. We stayed there for, I don't know, maybe a week at one time. And we just bummed his electrical outlet for the RV. And anyway, we liked the place, and, it was unique. I'm from Dallas, Texas.
Right. And
Dallas is extremely diverse, so this place is not like that. If somebody sprays graffiti, somebody gets shot. So, there's none of that going on here.
Right. Yeah. No, I can understand that. So that's cool. That's fun. How long for you has WORCS been going on? So we can kind of put a light on how long WORCS has been in the formats that it has been, a little bit of changes that have happened throughout the years, and then kind of how we're going to be moving forward with you guys going West and East Coast.
Well, WORCS started in 2001. It
Okay.
was the GP format. By GP format, we mean it hubs around a motocross track. Generally on the West Coast, it's a national caliber track, like a Glen Helen, Washougal, that type of thing. And then we use the outskirts, the outer portions of the property for the off-road section. We're looking for, on average, a 10-minute lap time, but some of the shorter courses get down to about 7 minutes. The races for an amateur rider ride at an hour, so they're extremely intense. There is no, hey, I'm going to set my pace and then get on with it in the latter laps. It is a motocross style off-road race. Ultimately,
right,
you have to be ready to go when the hammer drops. So that's the way the format's always been. And it really hasn't changed per se. In 2005, I started the ATV program. Basically, just said, hey, let's do an ATV version. We needed some space. We had too much congestion at our events. So in 2005, we started that, and that has organically grown on its own. And it was its own beast each weekend. And then in about 2009, 2010, we started doing side-by-side racing. Literally side-by-side racing just was to get those guys to where they weren't running through the pits.
Yeah.
We don't allow people in the off-road sections like what you see back east as much because of the land requirements that are here with the federal government. But we just didn't need them running around the pit. So I said, I'm going to build you guys a race so you can use your equipment. Well, that just started something. It really did.
It escalated.
And now, it's kind of this weird anomaly that it surprises me to this day how large that side-by-side program is, that it's by far the biggest in the entire country. But that's kind of morphed our program. So now we have a full motorcycle program, a full side-by-side program, and a full ATV program, all in one weekend. all running the GP format. So what's cool is that, initially there was some rub, oh, we're motorcycle guys, we don't want to race with the quad guys, meaning on the same track.
Right.
Well, back east has done it for years. Back east kind of gets the worst of it because they always ride the motorcycles after the quads. For us, we ride the motorcycles in front of the quads. So in any case, we combined the program a couple of years ago into a super event format. We tested it for 2 years at a couple of events, and we just wanted to bring the whole show to one weekend. It was way better for sponsors.
Right.
It was, if you're a motorcycle guy, you may not want to ride a quad, but seeing guys do, professional level guys doing things on quads is still impressive no matter what. I mean,
yes,
you have to respect. I mean, I always term quads as, they're 4 tires, so they're 4 times as likely to break, they're 4 times as expensive, and they're 4 times as likely to chase you down and beat you to death after you crash. So, they are way tougher to ride than a motorcycle in the physicality of it, So the motorcycle guys now are like, man, let's go watch the quad guys do something, because they do everything different. When we have Endurocross sections at almost every race, so they go see what they're gonna do through the specialized sections, and and then now the side-by-sides are on Saturday, so when you see around 85 to 90 side-by-sides do 140-foot step-up jump, I think that's the most exciting thing to bring to the East Coast, because East Coast side-by-side racing is, really 50-inch side-by-side racing. I mean, I know they're not the 50-inch cars, but they would be better if they were, because it's really tight.
Right.
Well, we're going to have more side-by-side oriented tracks, so we can bring the West Coast style of jumping, which is the exciting aspect for the customers and for everybody to see, So that's really what it's all in. It's a super event format. We're bringing that to the East Coast. We're going to slowly inject the whole WORCS format to the East Coast in the WORCS MAXC program. Those guys over there have a phenomenal program with Mike Gibbs. They run it professionally, and that's what I was looking for, was a professional partner on the East Coast that could help us grow over there. Mm-hmm. Our style is, our packaging style is just different. That's what it is. It's completely different than anything else that's on the East Coast, and it's very telegenic, so to speak, because you see your rider a lot versus every 27 minutes or 30 minutes. In our program, every 10 minutes you're going to see them. The tracks are a lot smaller, so you can jump from place to place and see what's going on. So, that's what's going on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, because I remember for a while there was a lot of talk about WORCS kind of being the motocross for off-roaders, or off-roaders doing motocross. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's what, some of the people were saying, here and on the East Coast. I've never raced a WORCS, so personally I have no experience to speak to that, and I've never been to one in person either. But I'm wondering if a lot of that is because it was the same way that a lot of people thought the same thing about J-Day. Now, I know that WORCS has been around a lot longer than the J-Day off-road program, but when they were putting out a lot of their video footage, they were just videoing in the areas that were easy to get to, which was the motocross track, or, kind of the more open grass track areas, not the bitchin' shit that happened off-road, like in the trails and things. And I'm wondering, so one, if that might have been part of what a lot of people were seeing with WORCS, is they were just seeing a lot of the stuff that was easier to see around the track. And two, I think people think off-road and they think woods and rocks and mud and roots and things like that. And since you guys maybe don't have a ton of that on the West Coast, once you guys come East Coast and they see what you guys lay out there and get a little bit more promoting for the WORCS series with the MAXC guys on the East Coast, that it's going to look more like an off-road program to what people are kind of used to seeing, or what they have maybe in their head when they say off-road racing. Is any kind of that come around in, like, in chatters of your circles when you guys talk about all this stuff?
Well, for the longest time, I really bucked that whole motocross off-road type. I was like, this is not what it is, because I came from Texas where you needed, I was listening to Kailub just a few minutes ago, and he's like, it's really specialized. Whenever I was racing in Texas, I had that system just down pat. You know, I knew exactly what I was going to do, and I went to the West to look for more competition. Ultimately, that's what drew me to the West. But then I got out there, and I was racing with Caselli and Mike Kordowski and Ty Davis, who are these, you know, profoundly talented riders in multiple disciplines.
Yeah.
And it was just faster. I mean, ultimately, that's what it was. Everything came at you so much faster than in off-road. You know, when in Texas and in the GNCCs that I did, you know, it was second, third gear, you know, very technical, methodical that way. But the terrain reading ability that I had to have to race out West was way more accelerated, you know. So each one is specialized. You know, Kailub has raced in WORCS Series before. We've taken him. I remember Kailub came up and raced the woods. We have a number of races that are strictly woods, you know, and those are my funnest tracks to go into because they just feel like home.
Right.
You know, they feel like what I still say it too, that's off road. Hard, gnarly, technical is off road. The ultimate thing is that on the West Coast, that is very hard to find.
Right.
You know, it is very difficult, and if you find it, it's generally at the edge of a jagged rock. You know, so, and ultimately, that's not really fun to ride in as a whole. You know, you don't want to run 5 miles of jagged rock. You know, so for us, we use whatever the facility brings to us. You know, like we go to Glen Helen. You know, if you've ever been to Glen Helen, in your mind, you've had this vision of what it's going to be. And then when you get there, you realize it's completely different than that. But it has highly technical sections that you can use. And when you see the photo, you're like, man, I didn't realize there was a forest at Glen Helen. Well, the forest is only about 50 yards long. But you get what you can out of it, you know? Yeah. And it's weird how that 50-yard section will be where the bottleneck is at. I mean, everybody will be dead right there in it. So, you know, when we come back to the East Coast, we're going to use what's there. And it's going to be a off-road styled event the way you think of off-road and the way the East Coast thinks of off-road. We will have motocross tracks in them. But, you know, back to the whole thing about WORCS being kind of moto-y, you can't get around it. When you start on a concrete pad and the gate folds backwards, you're going to get that. But at the same token, you know what? Those guys, we always coined that phrase in the early years, the fastest racer on the planet, because it's like getting shot out of a cannon, and you got to get going. You can't. There's no pace in it. It's just full throttle.
Yeah, and you guys are live engine starts. Is that correct?
Yes, we are.
That's actually interesting. Now, I asked that and I have to verify it. So why did you choose that over a dead engine start? And that's just, you know, I know because TCCRA in Texas, which you grew up racing, they are live engine starts, which I just kind of had to get used to, even though I'd kind of been doing some of the Toro racing since like 2007, which are dead engine starts. So when you made that decision, why did you make it a live engine versus dead engine decision?
Well, you know, some things in life you get because they were given to you.
Right.
And when I went to WORCS, it was this. Hand on the head, throttle. That's what you did. You know, not the pros. The pros always went off the gate. But what we did is if we have a starting gate that works, we'll use a starting gate with live engine. And we're talking about pro classes now. We're not talking about everybody else, but pro classes. But when there's no gate, it's dead engine. So about half the time, we start dead engine.
Interesting.
And that's why, you know, everybody loves a KTM on that day.
Right, yeah. I want my button.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so say we've got WORCS as the series that we know on the West Coast. You guys are going to move east now for 2015 with WORCS and the MAXC guys. Now, how is that series? Well, from what I understand, that's two completely different series. There is no quote-unquote overall champion that would be, you know, a national country or country champion. But so how's that going to evolve? So tell us a little bit about how the East Coast is going to be set up for next year, and then I know that you guys have some plans to kind of evolve that.
Well, the East Coast will be its own program. It'll start in March, and Mike Gibbs and his crew are trying to nail down all the final details on that. East Coast always starts a little bit later than the West. We have, we should be racing through the winter, and you guys should be racing through the summer, But your mind, it's hard to do that. And you see the programs in Texas that race winter and summer. So ultimately, they're going to get started in March, and they're going to work through their series. About 10 races. We'll go all the way to Florida, up through Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and whatnot. So we'll have those venues, and then we will have a East-West shootout should be 2016. There's been a lot of push to do it in 15 for an ultimate East-West shootout. Whoever wins and ends up with the National WORCS #1 plate. We had one of those before. We did it in Oklahoma, and it was a lot of fun. The art that you have when you have an East-West shootout is always good.
Yeah.
But that was back in I think we were at $1.25 at that time on gas. So now at almost $5 a gallon, $4.50 to $5 a gallon on the West Coast, it makes it a little bit different entity. So what we plan on doing is we plan on funding a number of semi-rigs that all the vehicles will come to a certain point. Because when we do an East-West shootout, we're talking about ATVs, side-by-sides, and motorcycles.
Woo!
So we've got to have a big contingent to be able to put that together. Because when you talk about, like, our pro side-by-side class has an average of 30 cars. So we don't want all 30 to go there from the West, and we don't want all 30 to go from the East. But we want a really solid show for those types of races. So we will have a number of semis that meet up in a certain places, so you can bring your car and then just fly in. Because we need to make it fairly simple for the racer to make it work.
Absolutely. I immediately start thinking about Big Sky cross-country race last year. Now, that race had been going on for a good 5 or 6 years and unfortunately did not continue this year due to kind of personal reasons. They just needed a break and spend time with their family. But this past year, in 2013, they had the AMA National Championship. It was the off-road national championship where guys from the West Coast, East Coast, Central Coast could go and say, I am competing to be the #1 off-road racer in the country. Now, I know currently that WORCS and MAXC is not AMA sanctioned. Could there wind up being a way to make this shootout be AMA sanctioned and then it become more of this off-road national championship, which we had in 2013 and people really, really wanted to see it again this year, but be it nobody stepped up to the plate or AMA didn't want to get involved with anybody, I don't know. Could that ever, I guess, come to fruition?
You said the three dreaded letters, but
hey, I'm not. I have no affiliation with any political agenda. I'm just asking the questions. I promise.
Okay. Where's my gun?
It's in here in Texas, where it's legal.
Yeah. Here's the deal. To get everybody together, you're ultimately going to have a sanctioning that is open to everyone.
Right.
That you don't have to have a membership for, that you can just come if you want to.
Okay.
Ultimately that's what it's going to have to be. I mean, WORCS did a year of AMA, and anyway, it was. I'm glad we're in a different position now.
You did it. You did it for a year, and now you don't do it.
Exactly. And
there you go.
Went over it, and it ultimately, if the AMA, as it currently is, would have been, that was the AMA that I tried to get on the West, and I had a long-standing agreement with them prior to us becoming an AMA program in that year, and ultimately, we had 10 items on the list, and I don't think we hit one of them. So now, what took it to force their hand was the GNCC backing out of the AMA, and now you can all of a sudden get a day membership, which was the most important thing on the West Coast because it's a barrier to entry.
Right.
When you look at anything else, racing right now, a WORCS race entry fee is $50. If you pre-entry, it's like $40. But that's the same entry fee it's been since 2001 when it started. GNCC is working off the same entry fees that it has been since forever.
Right.
30. I mean, you know, so we're all working off the same amount of entry fee revenue, but all costs have exponentially went up. The fuel to run the dozers, the fuel to run the water trucks, land rental, everything. Nobody can look at anything they personally own today and say, hey, this should be cheaper. I mean, it just hasn't happened.
Right.
So when you add another barrier to entry in what happened to us at the time, it was before they went to $50 membership fees, but it was a $40 barrier, boom, right there. So the first time you walked into a WORCS race, all of a sudden you had to pay $90 to race. So it really did a lot of damage to us because that wasn't the agreement that we had. Well, I stuck to my agreement. I went to a year and then I left. We've had a decent working relationship since then, as far as trying to work schedules together. But it was really the movement that the GNCC family had with the Coombses that really said, okay, we can't really afford that, because they didn't have anything to lose on the West Coast by doing what they did. They had a lot to gain,
right,
which they never realized, but they didn't have anything to lose. Well, on the East Coast, if GNCC or let's say Racer Productions said, you know what, we're not doing any more AMA, we're done with you. All that revenue, we're done with. You look at Loretta Lynn's, the Loretta Lynn system, and GNCC alone account for over 50, mainly Loretta Lynn's, but 50% of all AMA motorcycle, dirt bike revenue streams.
Yep.
So, as a business, now all of a sudden they got to look at it like, hey, we're not a nonprofit. This is going to gut us if we did this. So they went to a different system. And that's the system that we had agreed to 5 years ago or 4 years ago, and it never happened. So I'm glad to see that that's what they did. And, AMA as a general rule is a great advocacy program for all of off-road racing. I mean, they do a lot of great things for us. I probably have the same complaint as pretty much any promoter in the country does is, you can't be the sanctioning body and the revenue generator and the advocate. It all kind of gets tangled, that we all look at.
Yeah.
So, there's political issues, there's a lot of things, but, the guys at Off-Road AMA have been really good as far as since then, working with us and making sure that, hey, our schedules line up as best they can and keep everybody racing. Because ultimately, we need options for people to spend money to buy motorcycles, to break parts, so they can go to Rocky Mountain ATV or whoever and get the things that they need to do racing. Because if they don't, the sponsors like on your back wall, like Fly, aren't going to sell gear because the people aren't going to go ride and tear it up.
Yep.
So everybody likes something different. I don't know what beer you're drinking, but I don't drink any of that. So, somebody has
beer.
So, so somebody has to buy it. Everybody has a different flavor for everything. So, that's why when we come east, I think that's what we'll bring is just a different flavor to the East Coast.
Very cool. So right now you guys have two very different websites. Are we going to see any kind of cohesive website that somebody can go to one place and then kind of work into a portal system where they're going to be more centralized and be able to get information on their specific series and then again to their specific discipline? How is that going to work? Like, where does somebody say, oh man, I really want to know about this, I want to register, I want to find the schedule? Where is all that happening right now?
Well, due to what we have is a sponsor limitation right now that takes us all the way through November. And then in November, we can do those integrations because we're kind of freed up. We've all renegotiated our agreements. I went long-term with Rocky Mountain again. Mike is working on his side of the program, and we're working together with a lot of our sponsors to make them cohesive to where we can time together. But the big thing is we couldn't have conflicting logos on the same page. So that's where we needed some time to work through our contractual periods, and then we can do what we need to do.
Okay.
His main hub is still MAXC Racing, so that way everything can go there. If you go to the WORCS Racing website, you can type in worcsracing.com/the MAXC. Okay. And anyway, it'll take you to their page. But right now we're letting them be themselves because one of the things in off-road racing is I heard you say earlier, change is good. Change is this, but change is scary to a lot of people. So if I went in, or we went in, and Mike said, you know what, we're flushing the whole MAXC program. That we're not going to do what we did, which made us popular to their standpoint that they're at now. So that's what we didn't want to do. We don't want to scare anybody away. We want to let them know, hey, this is still the MAXC program. We're just going to tweak it a few different ways to bring in more like side-by-side racing to help boost his program where we can. We have the media power from the West with the magazines, the major trade magazines, to be able to help push him. We just have 14 years under our belt,
right?
And we want to go east. And when I started looking at the landscape of the East, you know what? I just couldn't come to another conclusion other than to work with Mike.
What are there going to be any big changes in the MAXC program that you know of, like big venue changes, things like that? That maybe there's historical races when it comes to it that may change, or anything like that that you foresee as of right now.
Well, he has a big charity event that he does each year.
Okay.
That's always going to be there. That's near and dear to his heart. But you got to realize we're going from basically 1-2 states to 7 or 8.
Yeah, that's very good point. Very good point.
I mean, the footprint is going to vastly expand. So we're going to work with the local clubs. That's one of the big things too. Is that when WORCS goes to let's say Northern California, the first thing we do is call the local racing clubs and say, hey, we're having an event. We want you to participate. We try to make a revenue stream that works for them. We try to do those things to bring them in. So that's what we're going to do when we go over to the East, work with the local clubs. The Florida Trail Riders has always been good to the WORCS program. We like working with them because it brings the diversity, and it pays points for their program. It's kind of a way for a rider to double dip.
Yeah.
And have a real national program come to them versus a tagline, and that's kind of what has happened on the West Coast as far as like some of the AMA stuff right now. And we want you to feel like you're at an event. That's the main thing. We want you, when you walk in the door, you're like, man, this is pretty cool. And that's what we want.
I think it'll be neat. How close do you think you may get to Texas? I know that by no means pointing fingers or anything like that, but it's kind of GNCC at one point did come to Texas, and for what I understand, the invisible line is the Mississippi River now. They won't come more west than that. Do you think that there's a chance that you guys might come, more west than that or closer, so that we might, be able to traverse with a bunch of people up there to one of the WORCS East races?
Well, funny thing, I do know a few people from Texas, so
it's just a skosh.
Just a skosh, but yeah, it's definitely in the cards. That's honestly where I would like to see the East-West shootout happen. Because I can, I mean, since you're there, you're gonna bring like 10,000 people just
easy
because you're there.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I mean, I'll bring 1 or 2. You'll bring 10,000. We'll all be happy. But
everybody's getting paid.
There's great dirt in Texas. That's one of the all the central states have great dirt compared to the East Coast. I'm sorry, compared to the West Coast.
Right.
So we but we know where we can go there. We have venues that we can participate in. We have other programs. I have the Texas Off-Road Championship Series that I started with Gil Ramos a number of years ago down south. So he's there. They already run our format. There's a program up north that runs our format pretty much. So there's lots of options, but I do see us in Texas, I would say probably 16.
That would be really cool. And I think one of the big things that we, and I don't mean just Texas, I mean we as in like the Texas, the Oklahoma, and kind of just a little bit more north and around us, we don't really see a lot of the national caliber events. We've seen some national enduros come through Texas recently, which has been awesome. I've attended all of them, had a great time at all of them. Very thankful and hope that stays up. But I wasn't back into the racing when the GNCCs did come through, and that would have been so cool to see that kind of that large scale national caliber event come in. Just like you're saying, like I go to this event and I'm like, wow, this is legit. Like that would be very cool to see. But unfortunately, we are in the middle of the country. We're not close to anybody except ourselves, even Texans, because we're just that stupidly huge. But I'm just saying it would be cool. So if you could make it work, I will definitely bring as many of the tens of thousands of people that I could try to.
Well, I think it could work. The timing has to be right. It can't be too late in the season.
Mm-hmm.
It still has to have gravity for everybody, as far as national championship hopes. What I would see kind of happening probably is that race would happen like in October. That way we could still have a race on each side after that.
Good weather. We'd have good weather in Texas.
Yes. There's a little place up there called the Red River, that has some great terrain around it.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of splits the middle. And, there's great off-road there. And one of the good things is I think you have to be a diversified rider to really say you're a champion. Kurt Caselli really honed his craft with WORCS. And, he was a phenomenally great rider. But I remember when he was talking about, hey, I need to try something different. And I remember having these conversations like, you need to try something different because you don't want to be the one-trick pony of you're the WORCS guy. You want to be the guy that, has won everything. When he went to GNCC originally, I was like, this ought to be cool. He didn't have a lot of success there, but he sure tried hard, and he went up against some real personal stuff at the same time, losing his father.
Yep.
So, but like the jersey on the back of your wall there, Russell with Kailub, he's come out and he's done the dance with us. He hasn't had the success with us, but he was a lot younger too.
Yeah.
I think so. Those guys have to bounce around. You have to try lots of different disciplines to really find out if you're one of the greatest riders there is. And if you just won one championship or you just win one series, you definitely can't say that. So, that's what I like to see is when these guys move around a little bit. You hate to see them go, but, ultimately they're like, I've seen these kids all grow up in these programs. I mean, Kurt Caselli was 15 years old when I first raced against him, and he was sick fast then. But, I got to see him grow up.
Yeah.
And turn into this awesome dude. So, and it's that way with all these guys because I've been watching as a promoter for 14 years now with WORCS, and we're making history on a weekend by weekend basis. And as a promoter, all you hope for is that these kids that you are able to be with and be around really turn into great individuals. And giving them a positive role model everywhere you can is really important. And making sure they know that their integrity at the end of the day has to be the most important thing to them.
Absolutely. Well, those are you definitely said it right, and I was thinking about it as well because that's one of the good things that a lot of people that I know here in Texas that I've become racing family. It's so neat to watch their kids grow up within this sport and within the same racing family that I've come to know so well. And everybody, we take care of our own kind of a thing. We don't want anybody to get too far out of this circle. So, come November, things will be able to change. You'll be able to make some updates on all the websites and all the media areas for people to learn a little bit more information about what could be coming, at least how they can start to get involved with the series on the East Coast as things come to fruition. But we're looking at kind of March is when you guys are probably going to get started racing?
Yeah, it's March 15th.
Okay, March 15th. And which property is that on?
That's a TBA. That's a little on the DL.
Oh, I hear you. That's okay. Yeah. Not the first time.
On the business side, you have to.
Oh,
as far as the actual final dates, we've released the schedule for the dates. Totally marked them tentative because things happen. Other programs end up on top of your dates all of a sudden. You just ultimately it's kind of in flux until you finally put that final stamp on it and say, well, this is what we're doing no matter what.
Yeah.
And as late as you can wait and still get people scheduled their vacations, then, ultimately that'll be the set. But we intend to start on March 15th.
Perfect. March 15th. So, and what was is the web address for the East Coast going to be the same? Is it going to be for the Mid-America Cross Country website?
Yeah. Yes, it is still the MAXC. that won't really change for the first year.
Okay.
Because we're trying to ease into it.
Yeah,
We don't
absolutely.
want to just go, oh crap, it's completely different. I'm gonna do something different.
Yep.
So we want to show them that, hey, everything we do is a positive move, not felt as a negative move.
Right. Not felt like, hey, check out this whole new world. Jump in really quick and figure it out. Like,
Everything you liked for the last 3-4 years is gone. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So that was the main thing. Is just we're gonna work together to just make the transition smooth. We want people to be excited about the changes that happen, And the biggest deal is that with the new format, you'll get more racing. You'll still get your old racing, but now you're gonna get some more.
Right.
At the same token. So we're gonna race more Sundays, split up the program that way to where you have more opportunity. When you drive for a WORCS race, the average drive distance is about 7 hours, is on the average. So when you drive that far, you don't want to get in there and get out. You want to get your money's worth for the drive. So that's what we want the East Coast guys to feel like when they left. They're like, man, I'm done racing.
Yeah.
That's what
I want to get in the car and drive home.
I want to fix my crap. I want to, call all my parts vendors, but
Well, cool.
that's the thing. We want you to feel like you got your money's worth.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Tell us, obviously, educate myself a little bit more on what goes on at WORCS. Being kind of stuck in Texas, having never really been to the West Coast very much, I just don't really know the program all that well. So I appreciate you kind of enlightening myself there, and as well what's going to be happening on the East Coast. I look forward to that. Obviously, I do like to talk off-road, talk to all the racers, talk to all the stuff that's going on with all off-road, but specifically it does feel like it's more East Coast centric, so it'll be fun to kind of see that. Oh, no, it's not that, like Jacob Argubright. I love Jacob Argubright. I have him on the show as much as I can, and I had Kirk Caselli on. He was on the show a lot. It's one of those things where, and Robbie Bell's been on, Taylor Roberts, so it just, for whatever reason, it does feel more East Coast centric. For no other reason than that's just how it pans out. So, but yes, I'm okay with fixing that if it needs, if it's broken.
Well, it's funny. I fly the helicopter for Robbie Bell in Mexico whenever he goes down and does his dances down there. And the first time I got in there, I was actually I went there as a paramedic for him at the first time, and I was the spotter. And anyway, I've got this big long lens camera. I'm sticking out the side of this Jet Ranger, taking photos and working. And I've watched all these guys raced right with them. And that was one of the few take-you-back moments. Going down a power line, we're doing about 107, 8 knots in the helicopter. But we're trying to catch Robbie because when he come out of the corner, he could out-accelerate us. But to see what the talent that some of those guys just possess, it's like, when Uha Salmanen came out and raced our program for a number of years. He raced 2 years at it. And to see him go up to a tree, run into the tree, wheelie up the tree, roll backwards, wheelie, turn around, and leave was just impressive feats of skill. And that's the way it was for me looking out at Robbie that time going, that's just crazy. 105 miles an hour on the motorcycle, GPS clock, skipping the top of whoops. That takes a set of gonads. So, and it's all these guys, Kailub, all the guys from the East have just phenomenal skills. Their eye-hand coordination is so good. It's just fun to watch the best do what they do best. And ultimately, that's what we want is people to have fun doing what they're doing and spectators to have a good show.
Hell yeah.
So,
well,
we're looking forward to it. Thank you for having us, and thanks to all your listeners and for giving us a piece of their night.
Absolutely, man. Well, definitely. So everybody go check out WORCS. It's going to be some big stuff, especially on the East Coast. It's going to be fun to watch this develop. I look forward to the new format of racing and how people decide to choose, again, what to do with their time and where they decide to go race, and then how we can kind of, chat about that and, again, have a few beers. So, Sean, thank you very much for your time. And definitely, we will be chatting soon. Again, I really look forward to seeing how the beginning of everything goes next year, and then kind of getting a synopsis from you guys there on the East Coast.
Well, I'll be back home for Christmas. So Might have to move over a little bit in that couch.
There's typically with this couch is made for two. It's just I try to make it look like it's it's okay with just one person, but
You look lonely there. That's the problem. You look a little lonely.
I'm very lonely. Steven's a pretty guy and all that, but his beard's very intimidating, and he's also the producer. He can't sit on the couch with me at the same time. So, yes. You come back for Christmas and we'll drink beers and talk motorcycles.
I happen to know a few people at Twin Peaks, so maybe we can get some assistance from those guys.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, good luck. We appreciate you having us. Thank you.
Take it easy, man. Have a good night.
All right, good night.
All right, so we've talked with a hell of a lot of people tonight. Awesome show. I think we're almost at 2 hours. A lot of talking, but that's okay. We had some technical difficulties, but hey, what was it? Work through the suck? Working through the suck?
Something like that.
Why don't I write this stuff down fast enough? I tried, and I couldn't talk and write at the same time. Hello, I've been drinking. I barely drink anymore. Are you kidding me? 22 ounces of this shit? I'm like, woohoo! So Seat Time. SeatTime.co is where you can find us. That is our website. Then Facebook.com/SeatTime. We are on Twitter, Twitter.com/SeatTime_CO, and Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, just search for Seat Time. You could do it one word or 2 words. It comes up a username or handle, however they think about it. Of course, huge thanks to Fly Racing for their support, Stillwell Performance, and the guys over at Fast Company. If you have not checked out the Flex Bars, you need to check out the Flex Bars. They are not just for old men. They really do help with all the minute vibrations that happen when we're riding off-road, motocross, just on your dirt bike and not on paved roads. And it will allow you to ride longer and a hell of a lot more secure and walk away with a shit ton less blisters. So check them out at fastco.com. We will be back next Tuesday. We're going to talk some more good stuff after things happen this weekend. I think it's going to be interesting to talk. We'll try to get Jason Hooper on next week to talk with him about his full gas Sprint Enduro Series to see how that goes. I really want to kind of figure out which format might be better. We're going to get opinions from everybody. Is the J-Day style Sprint Enduro better? Is the full gas Sprint Enduro better? Is there a weird difference that we could make it that much better than both? I don't know. We're going to find that out once it happens this weekend. We get to hear from everybody. Thank you very much for paying attention. Remember, always enjoy a pint full of awesome, and we will see you next Tuesday. Peace.